Morning, folks. NTV Chief Meteorologist Eddie Shear here. Just wanted to give you a quick weather webcast as to what we can expect for this afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow. An area of low pressure moves across the western part of the island tonight, and that will cause some heavy rain, possibly some snow, and more importantly, strong winds to develop. Environment Canada has issued wind warnings for much of eastern Newfoundland. They go into effect late this afternoon, will continue into tonight and early tomorrow morning, as that's when the core of the strongest winds are expected. Winds are expected to gust close to 100 kilometers per hour along coastal areas with slightly lower gusts inland. Either way, it is going to become very windy this afternoon and tonight. Switching over to a current weather map, as you can see right now, the winds aren't too bad, and you can see that at quick glances by looking at these wind barbs. And basically every, we'll call it line, on the end of that bar is 10 knots, okay? So we're looking at 20 knots just south of the Burin, only 10 knots in Port aux Basques, 10 knots in Stephenville, 5 knots in Gander, so a half is 5, 15 knots in Greats Cove, and Dahoney Place looking at only 5 knots. So wind now not a factor, but it will begin to pick up as our area of low pressure does begin to strengthen. And we can already see evidence of our low on the radar. As I switch that on, you can see looking at rain, possibly mixed with some snow and purple across the higher elevations of the west coast. And that rain goes all the way back down into Nova Scotia and parts of eastern New Brunswick. The rain will overspread Newfoundland from southwest to northeast through our day today. It's already raining in Quarterbrook. Here's the webcam. Roads are wet, skies are overcast, a little bit breezy, but not too bad. And the rain doesn't look like it's coming down too hard, at least at this moment in time. In Grand Falls, Windsor, currently dry. No big deal there yet, overcast. But in St. John's, look at that, some sunshine. That sun will be short-lived, though, as the clouds move in, followed by the rain late this afternoon and this evening, and eventually the wind. The radar from Environment Canada is showing that the rain does indeed stretch all the way back into New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and this whole batch of rain will continue working its way toward the northeast as the day does roll along, and then it will expand eastward overnight. That being said, the heaviest rain is expected for western Newfoundland, with lighter amounts as we get farther east. The impacts farther east tonight will be a little bit of rain, but more importantly, some very gusty winds. And the reason we're going to see such gusty winds this morning this evening and overnight, is a strong area of low pressure, and that area of low pressure this morning is located across central Quebec, and as this low sort of tracks generally this way, it's going to transfer its energy to a low off the coast. And that low off the coast will move up through western Newfoundland late this afternoon into tonight before leaving the island early tomorrow morning. And as that happens, you can typically get fairly strong wind gusts because of a strong pressure gradient east of the low, and that's exactly what we're going to be seeing tonight. So the question is, when can we expect those strongest winds to develop? This is one of the AMEC models that we have that does depict surface wind gusts, and they will be out of the south and southeast tonight. And this is as of 6:30, and we can see those strongest winds just east of the Port aux Basques area, getting along the south coast. But at that point, the Avalon, Bonavista, northeast coast not looking too bad. And again, this is valid as of 18:30 Newfoundland Daylight Time, which will be 6:30 this evening. As we do step forward in time, this is as of 9:30, and we can see in the past 3 hours since the last picture I showed you, since the last model depiction, we have seen those winds really beginning to crank across Newfoundland. Eastern Newfoundland at that. Just west of the Burin, we're seeing winds gusting over 90 kilometers per hour. On the Avalon, widespread gusts to 70 plus kilometers per hour, and even stronger as we get up onto the northern tips of the Avalon and Bonavista peninsulas. Same thing down on the Burin. So it is going to get very breezy this evening, looks like after 6:30. And then as we step forward 3 more hours in time, this is as of midnight, or 12:30, This is as of 12:30, and we can see the core of those strong wind speeds now centered over eastern Newfoundland. Very easy to see that winds are going to be potentially 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, widespread from central Newfoundland, just west of the Gander area, all the way to the Avalon. And on the northeast coast, look at that, 90 plus kilometers per hour gusting up there. So it is going to be quite windy tonight. Same thing down on the Burin Peninsula. And those wind speeds will continue to shift off toward the east. And notice by 3:30 in the morning, we are still seeing the strong winds on the northern tip of the Bonavista, much of the Avalon Peninsula, but those winds are tracking off toward the east. As we can see, the Burin, which was 3 hours ago, was seeing very strong winds. They are beginning to back off there. And then as we step into 3 more hours, this goes into 6:30 tomorrow morning, we can see much of the winds are calming down across Newfoundland as the low tracks off to the east. So far as precipitation goes, yes, we're going to be seeing some rain, certainly not prolific amounts. The heaviest looks to be along the west and southwest coasts, where 30 to 50 millimeters certainly looks like a good bet. Across the Avalon, generally looks like 10 to as much as 25 or 30 millimeters, not a big deal, and that's generally the case across the rest of the island. So not a prolific rainmaker, but a rainmaker nonetheless. And also, I'm going to mention some snow possible along the higher elevations of the long range mountains. This is the GEM regional forecasting what looks to be 10 to 15 millimeters of snow along the higher elevations of the northern peninsula. Not sure if it's going to be that much snow, but the threat is there as temperatures around 1,500, 2,000 feet are marginal for a wet snowfall. So that's what I got for you this morning. Batten down the hatches, and I will keep updating you on social media throughout the day. So find me on Facebook, meteorologist Eddie Shear, Twitter, Eddie Shear, and then I will see you tomorrow night on the NTV Evening News Hour, starting at 6, and First Edition with Tony Marie at 5:30.